The October 17th meeting of the Stillwater Planning Commission will now come to order. It will be the process this evening to call for items on the agenda. The commission will hear briefly from staff first, then the applicant and/or their representative, then open the public hearing and hear from those in favor and/or in opposition to the request. When you come to the podium, please clearly state your name and address for the record. And then before closing the public hearing, both staff, the applicant, and/or their representative will be provided an opportunity to respond, to provide additional information, and answer questions. After all interested parties have spoken, the public hearing will be closed. We will hear closing remarks and alternatives from staff. First item this evening on the public hearing agenda is a replat of preliminary plat issue B 2311. We shall hear from staff.
Okay, thank you. All right, so this is a preliminary plat for our replat for Block 4 of BC West subdivision. The final plat for BC West was brought to Planning Commission on May 17th of 2022. The approved plat was 13 single-family residential lots, two outlots and 3 commercial lots on 12.39 acres. So here's an area map of the subject property. It's there at the end of Cypress Mill on the west, and then it's 19th and Sanger through there. And here's an area map of the subject property. All the Berry Creek projects are there. This is part of the Berry Creek PUD. Here's a street view off of Cypress looking in. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. This is looking west off Cypress Mill into the location of these 4 lots. Here's a proposed preliminary plat of the replat. This basically lot line adjustments. There's already 4 lots here, and they're just moving it towards the rear where there is a floodplain. They're basically cutting the floodplain off of from the A sections, and B is where the floodplain is located. Are there any questions for staff?
Questions from the committee? Commissioners? So I did have a little bit of a question.
Mm-hmm.
So there were 4 lots before,
Yes.
and the plat is asking for.
It's 4 as well. It's basically lot line they're just adjusting the lot lines, and they're making, instead of having 4, they're doing A and B lots to make sure that they're sold together. So
Okay, so it would be like the rest of Berry Creek's lots with the A and the B parcels. Okay.
yes.
And I can ask the applicant more.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That was the question I had.
Okay.
Any other? None? Okay. All right. At this time, we'd give an opportunity for the applicant to come forward and provide some additional information if you would like.
Roger Gose, 113 East 8th, with Gose and Associates on behalf of the applicants, which are the 2 in the front row. One of them is going to build a house on the south part of this. The other one's going to pick up pecan limbs on the other part. And then the other 2 lots towards the back, the B lots, are in the floodplain. So we're breaking those off so they're not part of a buildable lot for flood insurance purposes.
So if are you ready for questions?
I'm ready.
All right. So if I recall correctly, some of the other lots that back up to the floodplain that were platted years ago have an A and a B parcel on one lot, correct?
Yes.
And so that non-buildable piece would have been that other outlot or the other lot, the other portion. If these pieces are broken off from this property owner's responsibility,
There's a covenant that they can't be separated.
Okay, they can't be separated.
Can't be separated, can't be built on.
Okay, and then whose responsibility would it be for upkeep on the lots?
Well, I mean,
The homeowner?
like the owner of 2A owns 2B, and it's his responsibility.
Okay, but they're, okay,
And same with Lot 1A also owns Lot 1B.
okay,
And they're responsible for the upkeep on that.
okay.
It's just a way you file the mortgage only on A lot.
Got it. Okay. But it would still.
You own them both?
Okay, but it would still be, so as far as like, it wouldn't fall on the homeowners association to care for these?
No.
Okay. That was a question I had.
Sure.
And just a curiosity, how that helps with insurance because you can't build on that?
Well, no, it's in the floodplain. Okay?
The B parts.
If you have the B part, and if you have floodplain touching your lot, then you have to have flood insurance on the whole property and the structure.
Okay.
So by separating off the mortgaged, they'd mortgage the A lot, but not the B lot.
Okay.
Got it.
It lets you go ahead and, most of these lots you can see are out of the floodplain, but just the tip of them will get you flood insurance.
Huh. Okay. Thanks.
Anything else?
That was the only question I had. Anything else from anyone? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'd open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone in the audience this evening that would like to speak in favor of this item. Seeing none, we'll ask if there's anyone in the audience this evening that would like to speak in opposition of this item. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and ask for staff to present findings and alternatives.
All right, so the findings is the proposed preliminary plat for the replat meets the subdivision and rezoning requirements. The C3 plan recommends low residential use at this location. So your alternatives tonight is accept findings and approve the proposed preliminary plat as presented. Number 2, approve the proposed preliminary plat with conditions, noting that the conditions should be met for the approval of the final plat. Reject findings and deny the proposed preliminary plat as presented. Find that that additional information or discussion is needed prior to the making a decision and table the request to a certain date, noting that action must be taken within 60 days of the public hearing.
Commissioners, motion or perhaps discussion?
I'll motion to accept the findings and approve the proposed preliminary plat as presented.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. We shall now vote. Motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is general orders, and I do have just a point of clarification I'd like to address to staff. Is it part of the ordinance that the preliminary and the final plat should be separated on agendas? Typically, we don't see a final plat on the heels of the preliminary plat like this.
Correct. Well, we did for Park Valley.
I know we've done a couple, and
Yes.
I think the last one was they were tidying up some items that were lacking.
Yes, we are working with, we're presenting to other committees the process of preliminary plats, improvements, and final plats in the process in which they are presenting. Since there are no improvements here, there's not really much of a gap, so it was easier to just do preliminary and final to go if you approved it. If it didn't, we would pull the final and wait. Oh, sorry. So anyways, for this particular one, there was no improvements and went with it, so that needed a changing because they are originally approved in the first batch when it went back in May 2022. So with this one that's kind of back to back, we prefer, if we can, have the preliminary plat, then the conceptuals of improvements submitted either at the time of the preliminary plat or after it's approved, and then we have that time and get close to the as-built of the improvements before we start looking at the final plat. But this is a discussion that we are going to have with BRC and other members of the community that deal with plats and everything, what staff would like to see, which is to have it more broken out so that it is separated and presented separately.
All right, thank you for the clarification. So the next item on the agenda would be the general orders. First item on the agenda is the replat and final plat of SUB 23-13, which would be the preliminary plat that was just approved. Commissioners, do hear a motion on this?
I'd make a motion to approve the proposed final plat.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the final plat. We shall now vote. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is miscellaneous items from staff, planning commissioners, or the city attorney for discussion and possible action. The one item that is listed is that the next planning commission meeting is November 7th. Anyone have anything else? No? Yes? Staff have anything?
sorry.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. All right. The next item on the agenda is adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. We shall now vote. Motion passes 5-0.